Hey there, good morning on this Wednesday, November 6th. You're watching Breakfast with Bridgett streaming on News 6 Plus and clickorlando.com. I'm Bridgett Ellison. Good to be with you. You know, yesterday was a big day, election day, so we have all of your results here this morning as part of Results 2024 coverage on News 6. But we'd be remiss without recognizing November 6th is our big day here on Breakfast with Bridgett. We are now 1 year old. Kathleen brought in some cupcakes and a cake. So we are celebrating. You guys, I thought these were noisemakers, but so happy birthday to us. I remember Candace and Trooper Steve watching, sort of like walking through, and we were talking about what this was going to be like because Kathleen Winningham and I, she's my producer here. When we were told that we needed to do 30-minute streaming, we weren't sure what that would look like. They said, just get on there and talk. And I said, you don't want me to just talk for 30 minutes. That could, for one, I have a very thick Southern accent that comes out. And two, you guys know that I will just keep talking about anything. I mean, we lose time. Then we lose track and we don't get done what we need to get done. So Kathleen
sometimes
came
that
up
happens.
with a rundown. She came up with a rundown because we need structure. Because otherwise, you know what we'll do. Candace will talk about coupons. We'll talk about where to get. Trooper Steve will talk about where to get the best whatever sandwich or whatever it is.
Yep.
And we do that, but we also give you a rundown. We give you some content too. It's not just fluff. But we have been through a lot here in the past year. And so there's always a whole lot of things to report in what's going on in the local community. We're talking about what's going on with the weather department. We're talking about traffic. And, then sometimes we check in with doctors. Today we're talking to Dr. Jim Clark about the election results and all the analysis to be had there. So it's a big variety, It's not just continental breakfast. It's a buffet, right?
I like that. And by the way, we do have to talk about maybe getting some breakfast sponsor. I mean, we made it a year, so maybe, who knows, maybe we can get a breakfast sponsor or something.
I like it. So we'll work on that.
Well, congratulations, Bridgett.
Thanks. And thank you guys for, being a part of it too, because we feel like that rounds it out.
Ooh, Steve.
Yes.
It was deserving.
Do the balloons. Can you do the balloons? How do you do the balloons?
Oh, hon, we have a heart.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
How do you do the balloons? I think it's like a peace sign.
A peace sign. You gotta do two peace signs.
There we go. There's our balloons.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Want me to sing to you, Bridgett?
No.
Later, because we have to save time for Dr. Clark. So, but thank you.
Thank you. You know what's weird is that we're talking elections and we're talking about a Category 2 hurricane still in the Caribbean.
Mm-hmm.
That's not supposed to go hand in hand.
Florida. Mm-hmm.
It is Florida. So let's talk about it because just about 30 minutes ago, National Hurricane Center updated saying that Rafael, which by the way is approaching parts of western Cuba, is now as a Category 2 hurricane.
Wow.
So let's take it to the maps because today's going to be kind of a dicey day, Bridgett. Right now we're looking here at the radar. A lot of that heavy rain is already starting to encompass a whole portion of Osceola County, Four Corners, Champions Gate, Epcot, Campbell right now, with another batch of pretty heavy rain right now over Deer Park, moving into Harmony, kind of clearing out of Brevard County. But just to the south of that, we're adding more rain. So this is what we need to expect on your Wednesday. It's going to be a little shock to the system because the rain that we have seen for the past couple days, kind of light, kind of nuisance-y kind of rain, really doesn't do much, doesn't give you enough rain to stop your sprinklers, right? Or anything like that. But for today, we're talking about some pretty heavy tropical downpours. And the culprit, Hurricane Rafael, actually, that's going to be increasing our moisture content, our rain chances today about 50 to 60%. We are going to be dealing with some of those isolated thunderstorms as well in the forecast. So let's talk Hurricane Rafael right now, looking very impressive, unfortunately, right now in the Northern Caribbean, approaching Cuba at this hour with sustained winds now clocking up to 100 miles per hour, officially making it a Category 2 hurricane. Now, overall, throughout the next couple of hours, it will get close to Category 3 strength. increasing up to about 110 miles per hour. So it will be teetering between a strong 2 or a major hurricane. Then, as it moves into the Gulf of Mexico, that's when we are going to be watching it slowly kind of weaken a bit down to a 2, down to a 1, even a tropical storm by early next week. So, right now, it's in like super ripe conditions for developing. But once it gets into the Gulf of Mexico, there's not all that same energy and oomph behind it to keep it strong and intense. So, locally here, you saw the rain that we're dealing with already. We're going to continue to see pockets of some heavy rain. So coverage goes up again to about a 50%. But not only will the rain come in, the rain's going to be coming in and dumping a lot of rain. We're talking tropical nature kind of storms and showers here. Now, speaking of storms, there will be the potential of seeing an isolated thunderstorm or two in the forecast come Wednesday afternoon and into the evening hours. And then we'll start backing off those rain chances a little bit, though, as we head into your Thursday. So as we take you here hour by hour, 84 will be your high. But I do need to mention that 84, that's not what it's going to be feeling like. It's actually going to be feeling more like 10 degrees hotter than that.
Ooh.
Mid 90s potentially across a big portion of Central Florida. So it is going to be feeling, looking, smelling, sounding like summer across Central Florida. Not only are we watching Hurricane Raphael, we're also watching an area that could turn into kind of a tropical low in the next couple of days, still a low chance of potential development, but it could start bringing with a little more rain in the forecast. So for today, again, breezy downpours, but I want to show you what's going on just north of Hispaniola as we head into Friday and Saturday. Right now, models don't pick it up into anything major or anything significant, but we could be bringing a little more rain in the forecast by late this weekend, early next week, which is why rain chances do go up to about a 20 to 30%. Veterans Day overall not looking too bad. It will still stay pretty warm, mid 80s, but overall much drier compared to what we're going to be experiencing today, Bridget.
All right. And you know what? Good thing that all that rain held off just to get us past Tuesday, because that just would have been so inconvenient. When we say inconvenient weather day.
Yeah, I mean, and listen, there were some places that they had to wait in the rain, but the
But
good
not
news
like
with that
today.
is
It's
that the
going to be.
rain was just rain. There wasn't thunderstorms. There wasn't anything threatening that would make you have to go inside. But when you wait in line for that long, it really takes a lot to get you out of line. So again, I'm
Yeah.
glad that this weather is getting pushed off till today.
Yeah. And then it looks like it'll clear up really nicely for the weekend and going into
Yeah.
the holiday weekend. So that's nice.
Yeah, it looks like we could get more of a potent front though by the end of next week. So we're going to keep
Yeah.
an eye on that. Still kind of outside of our 7 days, but hey, we can always look to something good.
Yes. All right. Thank you, Candace. Looks good.
You're welcome. Happy
And we'll
birthday.
get, thank you. And we'll check in with Steve. You know, we just saw him there. And, Steve, we've been pushing for more food coverage. You know, that's our passion and something that, there's room here because it is a breakfast theme. So I'm hoping that that's something that we'll add eventually. But for now, we'll stick to traffic. And I think that it looks like he froze there. So is he back? Is he coming back?
Oh my
There he
gosh.
is. We just talked about this. I hear you. The painful. There you are. It's painful.
It's so painful when this thing freezes because then I want to start losing my mind. But then
Just
I've
gotta
learned to
breathe.
stay quiet because sometimes the mic is still hot
And sometimes
and
you
I
give
might
up
be
and you leave
frozen.
us.
Yeah, and you watched me leave you once, and I didn't know you watched me leave. And I'm like, I need to be very cautious and keep my cool. So, yes, I would love for this to have an awesome food sponsor.
Yes.
Something,
Right, right, right.
something.
Yes.
Because this is nice.
Right.
It's what my brain feels like at this hour. Like just a
I
mess.
thought there
Just a
was a
mess.
noisemaker, but I guess now that it's at $1.25, they had to raise the price and took the noisemaker out.
Yeah, they had to make a profit, but take that other device out of it, kind of thing.
Oh, well, all
All
right.
right. So with Candace watching that weather coming through, it is causing some major issues on our roadways when it comes to delays. I'm not talking crash.
Go to the map. All right.
Freeze. Okay, and I'm back. 42 minutes. Champions Gate to 408. 42 minutes, Champions Gate to 408. I just want to do traffic for Bridgett, guys. As we're moving here, the storms are moving through the area, like Candace has indicated.
Mm.
Um, and you can see just how heavy we are. We're about 3 miles backed up past 27 coming into our area. So you got to be real careful. The good thing is no crash within the area. And then that turnpike, St. Cloud traffic, Pleasant Hill, it's just all that northbound Kissimmee traffic trying to leave right now, really trying to have to battle the weather. So take it easy, manually turn on your headlights, and you're going to be fine. Outside
You could
of that,
use your
for the
flashers now
Northeast,
too, technically, right? Because we used to talk about that. I know you don't like
yeah,
it,
yeah, you can. I just don't talk about it.
but you can
If you,
use your flashers.
yeah, you're just basically you're letting everybody know that you don't know how to drive by
Or
using
that
that.
you may
Even the
like to
law.
brake a lot. Or you might drive really, really slowly in the rain
Bridget,
because
Bridget,
maybe
let's
you
not
have
do
a
this.
windshield wiper that's not working right.
Let's not do this. If you have a windshield wiper that's not working, you shouldn't be driving. That's a faulty equipment. Let's not
Okay.
do this. Let's not do this right now. Because I just got warm.
You're sick. I won't
Um,
spar with you anymore.
No, sparring. I don't know. Westbound I-4, Lake Mary Boulevard. We're seeing the delay here. There were about 3 separate crashes out in this area. None of them blocking travel lanes, but it is causing the slowdown because people are doing what they're supposed to be doing, slowing down. So outside of that, Bridget, the rest of us are good. Brevard's good. Volusia is good. I'm going to be spending my morning out in Pine Hills as part of our WKMG Hits the Road. I'll be off of Pioneer and looking at a stop sign issue by Silver Star. So I'm
Okay.
interested at this because they said I could. The viewer says you could sit there all day and everyone will run the stop sign. So I hope when I get there at 10,
Oh.
everybody's running the stop sign. So we'll see what happens.
You got to park somewhere where everybody can't see you, though.
I brought my ghillie suit, so I'm going to hide in the bushes with my camera.
Oh, boy. I want to see that. Okay.
You would die. I'll talk to you later.
All right.
I'll
Be
see
safe.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
All righty. So we do want to get to those big stories, too. And so it's always a pleasure to have Dr. Jim Clark. And we're here with us this morning. And he was here late last night. Dr. Clark, it's good to see you and hear you. And you dialed in on Monday. You were ready to go. You dialed
I was
into
ready to
breakfast
go.
on Monday.
I was anxious to talk about politics.
So did you stay up late? Did your predictions for the most part hold up? Tell us, what you. Okay.
I was totally wrong. Thank goodness I did not put any money on the election.
Really?
I thought the vice president would do better.
Okay.
This is a disaster for the Democrats.
Mm-hmm.
If you are a Democrat, I would advise you to go back to bed and pull the covers over your head because the news is almost universally grim in terms of the House of Representatives, in terms of the Senate, and of course the White House.
So what are we seeing? Because just a couple hours ago, former President Trump secured enough electoral votes, putting him over the threshold to secure the presidency. And so that was it when Wisconsin came in that they got that? It was just a little bit ago.
Wisconsin that put him over the top, but there are still 4 states out that are all leaning Republican. So Michigan could go his way, Nevada, Arizona, Alaska almost certainly will go his way. So he has a 277 now and could easily pass 300 votes.
And so when you look at the margins compared to when he won the first time, what are some of the big differences? Because, we talk about popular versus electoral votes and sort of how just a few differences can really show sometimes a wider margin and still, one winner on one and a different winner on the other, but he got both this time.
Yeah, some of the states are close, but basically it's a repeat of 2016 when the Democrats' so-called blue wall broke down. Those industrial states, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, all going for Donald Trump.
And so what is it that you think when you were looking at, was it the polls or what was it that had you, because I know some of the polls showed things a little tighter, but overall, what was it that you noticed that seemed to shift from what a lot of pollsters were saying earlier.
Yeah, the pollsters got it wrong again
Mm-hmm.
for the third consecutive election. Um, After 2016, they said, hey, we underestimated the Trump support. We'll adjust it. Then in 2020, the same thing happened, and they again said, hey, we'll adjust it. And in this election, they didn't adjust it enough, obviously.
Is it,
Um,
do you think that there's maybe just less, maybe less honesty or maybe less participation in some of the polling, the way that system works in terms of trying to make predictions, and maybe some people aren't participating in the polls, or maybe there's just, is that still an accurate way to try to predict things?
It's awfully difficult. First of all, you and I are the first problem. We no longer have landlines in our homes. So
Right.
we are difficult to get a hold of. Secondly, I don't know about you, but when my phone rings and it's a number I don't know, I don't answer. Um, and I let it go to voicemail. And you're getting so many spam calls and people selling stuff, and people I think are distrustful of these phone
Mm-hmm.
calls. So I think it's awfully tough on pollsters, and we're particularly seeing this in the Senate races.
Mm-hmm.
The Republicans may pick up as many as five more Senate seats, where the polls all had the Democrats ahead, some by 3 and 4 and 5 points.
Yeah, so we had
So
Rick Scott win, and that balance of power going to Senate Republicans. And so, he talked about being the leader there, if reelected. Can we talk about some of these dynamics of that balance of power? Because I think, are we still waiting on some more numbers on the House balance? Or, but you said it's probably going to go
no,
both
you know,
Republicans
yeah.
dominated.
Yeah, the numbers are grim for the Democrats. There are 61 undecided
Mm-hmm.
seats, and they would need to take 51 out of 61 to get control of the House,
Mm-hmm.
which is almost impossible. Certainly, the Republicans can pick up 10 of those 61 seats, and they are leading in more than 10. They may actually add to their majority in the House. They've taken control of the Senate, and now they've taken control of the White House, which means that President Trump, unlike his first term, is going to have a clear
Mm-hmm.
path to pass any legislation he wants.
Yes. And if we had to look ahead, what do you think are the main driving forces that people are looking forward to seeing some change or some immediate movement with? What are some of those first things that you think that he'll work on along with the House and Senate to try to get through faster?
Well, he made a lot of promises. For example, to not tax tip income, to stop taxing Social Security income, all kinds of things like that. Closing off the border. So it's going to be interesting to see which ones he carries out early in his term and which ones kind of fall by the wayside. Some of these will increase the national debt substantially, although I think everyone would agree it's kind of been out of control for the last 8 years anyway, because, first of all, the pandemic. But, he's going to have to make some quick choices, and it's going to be fascinating to
Mm-hmm.
see what what happens, what he prioritizes.
And how do you see things shifting in terms of that viewpoint overall when it comes to our economics? Because we've seen lower gas prices, we've seen inflation starting to level out somewhat, and so even in terms of people saying recession, people sort of backed off of fully
Yeah.
declaring recession, and the Fed tried as hard as it could to sort of hold the interest rates in a state that could kind of keep it as stable as possible. But I mean, we just got through this huge union deal with Boeing, and there's just so many different things to look at when it comes to the economy and how Americans' viewpoints are changing around what they think needs to be done to sort of improve things.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to say, Bridget. I think that the biggest takeaway from all this is the disaster for the Democrats, um, and uh, and do they have any real power now to stop the Trump agenda? And he's talking, for example, about high tariffs that would change the way we kind of do business. Tariffs cut two ways. If we start imposing tariffs, other countries start imposing tariffs. And so they can hurt the economy if they are done badly. So, again, his agenda is really radical. And
Hmm.
we're going to find out pretty quickly what parts of it he was serious about and what parts of it were simply a campaign promise.
Hmm. And you think the main driving forces in what made it such an overwhelming victory are mainly financial things. Is that right?
I think I would say that the immigration played well with voters
Hmm.
and the economy,
Hmm.
but beyond that, this seems to be a repudiation of the Democratic Party,
Hmm.
and they're going to have to do some soul searching. Senate seats that seemed safe, House of Representative seats that seemed safe,
Hmm.
um, went to Republicans. So um, the in Florida, for example, the Senate race with Rick Scott, pollsters said, "Oh, it's within 4 points. It's
Hmm.
within 5 points," and it ended up more than a dozen points separating Rick Scott from his challenger.
I think a
Uh,
lot of people are starting to think that the polls are a joke. I mean, I don't
yeah,
know. There's not
that's
a
the Lisa Bell fan
yeah.
club you're joining. For years,
But that's
Lisa.
what I hear. When I hear banter, that's an overwhelming thing I hear a lot is that's a joke. So it's just not even really worth betting on
Yeah,
polls. Hmm.
that's the problem, and people. I think the polls people are going to have to figure out what's going to happen. It'll be
Hmm.
interesting to see if after 2020, some pollsters literally went out of business,
Hmm.
and it'll be
Hmm.
interesting to see if some of them shut down after this election because they are just so unpredictable.
So when it
And as
comes, hmm
President Trump said, you spend $1 million on a poll and still aren't sure what it means.
hmm when it comes to what's happening in Florida, were there any surprises to you when it comes to looking at some of those amendments and some of the votes and the way that they split up?
No, the Amendment 3 and 4, the abortion amendment and the recreational pot amendment, uh, had always polled between 57 and 62%. Everyone knew it was going to be an uphill climb to get to 60%, which is a high threshold.
Hmm.
Um, and they simply did not make it. The governor campaigned hard against both of them, spent tens of millions of dollars to defeat them, and held them below 60%, even though a majority of Floridians wanted them.
Okay. Okay. And when we look at the state attorney's race, Monique Worrell was removed by the governor, and then, she ran to get her job back. And overwhelmingly so, she had a decisive win. Andrew Bain was appointed by the governor, but, he couldn't pull it off to keep the seat. What do you make of that turnaround?
Yeah, she was popular before, and I think it's two things. First of all, Orange County has become kind of an island in the sea of red. A few years ago, Bridget, we were talking about the I-4 corridor and how important it was. And now Orange County almost stands alone in all the Republican counties around us. So I think that people in Orange County were angry at the governor for removing her. And so I think this was a vote to, make sure that we sent a message to Tallahassee. The question becomes, can he remove, will he remove her again?
Mm.
Does
Mm-hmm.
he have the power to do that? Would the court support him? In theory, he could remove her again and put Andrew Bain back in after
Okay.
the voters rejected him. So that's going to be a fascinating storyline to see what happens.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And in terms of what's on the agenda next and what will probably happen in this coming year, I mean, do you think we'll see any big changes, come this time next year in terms of getting things done?
Yeah. Again, I think it's going to be what Trump prioritizes. He's going to control the Senate and the House. They're going to dance to his tune, much as the Florida legislature has danced to Governor DeSantis's tune
Mm-hmm.
for the last 6 years. So it just depends on what he wants done first. And he's, for example, uh, uh, pledged to fire hundreds of thousands of government workers, shut down the Department of Education. Which of these is he going to follow through on?
Okay. Okay. Well, I'm sure you'll be back to tell us more and talking to students as well. So we're witnessing it, and we appreciate you stopping in to give us a little bit of analysis this morning. I'll let you maybe grab a
Thank you.
nap.
Thank you for having me, Bridgett.
All right. Thanks, Dr. Clark.
Have a great day.
All right, you too. And of course, we're just touching on these things. There's a complete breakdown of all the races, all the stories, local, national, and the very latest on the presidential race. Go to clickorlando.com and you can check out the full results, the latest news right there on the homepage. And of course, we'll continue updating that throughout the day as more things become official and all the remaining numbers of everything come in. But we want to thank you for being with us this morning here on News 6 Plus. And I'll see you at noon for more news and weather on WKMG. Take care.